Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. Today is May the 10th. We are 10 days into the month of May. I want to greet you this morning. I'm looking forward to doing the Just for Today in a meditation with you. I hope that you are ready and excited about your day. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. This is the H.O.O.D Recovery Services. H.O.O.D is an acronym, H-O-O-D, and it stands for Hope Offered on Demand. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I'm so excited about this new program. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the Just for Today. May 10th, becoming entirely ready. We get a good look at what these defects are doing in our lives. We begin to long for freedom from these defects. Basic text, page 34. Becoming entirely ready to have our defects of character removed can be a long process, often taking place over the course of a lifetime. Our state of readiness grows in direct proportion to our awareness of these defects and the destruction they cause. We may have trouble seeing the devastation our defects are inflicting on our lives and the lives of those around us. If this is the case, we would do well to ask our higher power to reveal those flaws which stand in the way of our progress. As we let go of our shortcomings and find their influence waning, we'll notice that a loving God replaces those defects with quality attributes. Where we were fearful, we find courage. Where we were selfish, we find generosity. Our delusions about ourselves will disappear to be replaced by self-honesty and self-acceptance. Let me repeat that last sentence. Our delusions about ourselves will disappear to be replaced by self-honesty and self-acceptance. Yes, becoming entirely ready means we will change. Each new level of readiness brings new gifts. Our basic nature changes, and we soon find our readiness is no longer sparked only by pain, but by a desire to grow spiritually. Just for today, I will increase my state of readiness by becoming more aware of my shortcomings. That reading is a mouthful. That reading is a mouthful. There's so much in there that I could unpack. But I think what I want to focus the most on today, because it's very necessary. I think it's very necessary in this day and age, in this, I can't even say post-pandemic era, because the numbers of COVID-19 are increasing in my community, just from having proms without masks, people thinking that this is something gone away. People are fed up with the mask. They're fed up with mandates. And here we are, maybe a week or two past the prom in our area, and we have seniors now that are very sick and unable to complete their studies in person. Now, I'm sure they will accommodate them, right? But I want to say in this pandemic era, it's very necessary that we understand that our whole person, we need to understand holistically our physical beings, who we are, cannot be segregated. When we attempt to segregate ourselves, we risk allowing disease to take root in our physical bodies and then sneak up on us through the back door because we're busy doing this, busy doing that, not following up with doctor's appointments, not even thinking we need to see a doctor, just thinking, it's just a pain, it'll go away. Next year is still the pain that's a little bit more intense. Oh man, I just need to eat better. And come to find out you're sick. You have gallbladder cancer, you have stomach cancer or something like that. So truthfully, it is very necessary for us to have positive energy around us. And the negative energy that is around us that we let get away with being negative, or we allow our thoughts to center on the negative and we don't challenge those thoughts, right? Because I was taught that I need to take every thought, right? I need to take authority over every thought that I have, especially those that do not line up with the spiritual individual, my higher power, and the spiritual principles I'm trying to live by. So in this reading, back to the reading, the point that I'm making is that if we chose to look at it from a skew of negativity, we possibly could do that. I don't want to do that today. I want to make sure that you understand that becoming entirely ready is a good thing. Like whatever gets you to the point where you are entirely ready to have these defects of character removed from you, you needed that. But you can't stay in there, because what happens with character defects is that it causes us to do some things. That's funny. I was just reminded of this politician that said some people have done some things. Yes, yes, indeed. Let's be specific, right? That our disease of addiction, our character defects causes us to do some things that we already know are not okay. This is not the step that you address those things in, right? That is step 8 and step 9. We are dealing with step 7 and step 6. We become entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character from us. Step 7, we humbly ask God, past tense, ask God to remove our shortcomings. So we're talking about step 6 and step 7. All right. But the problem with this particular reading is that if we are not careful, we will miss the light in it. The light in it is that we want to increase our state of readiness by becoming more aware of our shortcomings. As you become more aware of them, as you become, as the title says, becoming entirely ready, you cannot sit in them. You cannot. This is not the season that we're in that you can sit in the negative juice. You have to look at it, see it for what it's worth, and acknowledge that this is no longer a behavior that I am comfortable with. And by dogged, I don't know how I'm going to get rid of it, but every time I see it raise its ugly head, I am going to lop it off. And then just make it practice. Lying is no longer okay for me. Here it gave you some polar opposites, right? Where we were selfish. For instance, let's look at this. I want to get back to the other screen, but let's stay here for a minute. Where we were selfish, we find generosity. It says our delusions about ourselves will disappear to be replaced by self-honesty and self-acceptance. This is a good one. Where we were fearful, we find courage. Okay, so in this third paragraph, we're able to see the polar opposites. So the miracle question comes into play. If this character defect, this shortcoming of yours was no longer, you woke up one day and by some miracle, it was gone. Well, how would you know it was gone? What would you be doing different? And then whatever your answer is, you have to flip the script and go back to what you're doing now. That also tells you that this character defect is present. Demiracleize, if that's a word, right? So you have to go back to what it is right now. What are you doing right now that tells you that this character defect is present? Are you lying every opportunity that you get and you don't even know that why you're lying? Are you, you know, a know-it-all? Every time somebody says something to you, be like, yeah, I know. Yeah, girl, I know that. Oh, okay, do you? Because knowing is beyond, the wisdom is being able to apply knowledge correctly, right? People say knowledge is power, but no. Wisdom. Wisdom and courage have to come with that knowledge, right? You have all the knowledge in the world and not know how to do anything with it. There's a lady in my class. She is there's probably like I want to say three top students in my cohort. Academically, she is a whiz. The other ones are too. But the difference between her and them is that even though she has the knowledge and she has this huge passion to be in the field of counseling, she doesn't know how to talk to people, right? And she's fearful of confrontation. So every time we have a presentation, she gets diarrhea of the mouth. Instead of being able to stick to her bullet plan, which is usually not even a bullet plan because she's written a whole book on her slides, she forgets what she needs to say because she has so much up on her slide and she bores the heck out of all of us, right? You can have all the knowledge. And then when we do our mock sessions, you can tell she is struggling to respond to her clients. She has all this knowledge, but she doesn't have the practical application of it. She has, I ask her many questions, oftentimes because I know she has the information and she could sift through all of the information and give me the information I need so I can move on in my assignment, right? She's one of my go-tos, but she is not a go-to right now for counseling, right? She has a lot of information. She's very good with information, but she does not have the ability to use that information so that it's beneficial to her client. Not yet, but practice will make perfect. And so you can have all the knowledge and feel like that's powerful. You could be a book thumper and feel like that's powerful, but you don't have evidence of being able to apply any of this in your life. Every time you open your mouth, you lying. Every time you're in the store, you stealing. Every time you're around the male energy, you want to be in bed or behind a tree or in the car, right? And I'm speaking from a female point of view, but this applies to men too, because men, a lot of times they undress women in the meeting and no goodness well they married. Because your wife is not a part of the program, you think you can come into the meeting and just pick the females off. You are having just as much of an issue with lust as the female that is allowing herself to be picked off by males that tell her that she's beautiful, right? That's my cue, guys, in the background for me to get the boys up. So the point that I'm making is that you could, being around the program for a long time, sometimes we get too comfortable. We haven't had anybody get in our face and tell us, you know what, you need to stop. Just stop. You need to stop. Like, you going on 20 something years and you still doing the same stuff when you got here and had 20 days. No. And the pandemic has caused us to be more isolated with our behaviors. It's like going from living a life without having a check from working, and then all of a sudden you get a job and you get your first check. 9 times out of 10, you're going to blow your first check because you're excited about having that cash. It's the same thing. When you haven't been in the atmosphere of recovery for a while, you haven't been interacting because of the pandemic, and now you're in a room, a small room with a whole bunch of people that know you and you know them, you get excited and you start clowning and you start acting, in a festive mood. But that joy, right? The good thing about being together can also be a bad thing, because many of us have not had to hone in on our interpersonal skills. We haven't had to hone in on them because it's just us day after day in our families, whoever lives in the same house with us, right? So now we're put in a position like, our social skills have become rusty and our recovery application of spiritual principles has become rusty. And we just need to be mindful. A MightyStream needs to be mindful, and you need to be mindful. We are still trying to recover. And if you are having character defects and you're causing you to fall short and dictate situations, then the question becomes, are you entirely ready to have them removed from you? Because God is a gentleman. If you're not entirely ready, you can continue on causing, chaos and mayhem in the lives of yourself and others, right? My personal experience is that when I'm ready, the guidance is there, right? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The teacher for me is my higher power, God and his higher power, not his higher power, but God and his power, right? So when I'm ready for the adjustment, when I'm tired of what I've been doing, then my help is readily available to me because now I'm asking. And I believe when I ask, I get the things that I'm asking for, if they're beneficial to myself and others, right? And now my true will has become is the will of God. My true will is the will of God, right? Because I really don't want anything that's not God's will for me. And we learned that, right? We learned that in the basic text. Now I'm talking 11th step stuff, but this step right here that we're talking about in this reading is specifically step 6. And if you're not entirely ready, you need to ask yourself, why am I not ready? Why am I not ready to let that habit go? Is that habit something that I've come to believe is a survival skill, right? it's part of my survival skill set. I need that behavior to manipulate people to get what I want done, right? I need to have, um, I, I need to have whatever it is you think you need, right? Whatever it is you think you need, are you using your character defects in a way to get those things? I keep coming back to this person. I know they lie every time they open their mouth. I do not believe anything that comes out of their mouth. And as a result, it changes the relationship, because they could talk to me for 10 minutes and I'm still thinking something's not right. There's some game in this. So the trust is not there, and I don't think it will ever be there, because I've had too many years, well over a decade, right? And in a couple of situations, even more than that, of constantly having to find out that the information that I'm being given is false. See, I don't have anything that I'm trying to perp on in my life today. Who you see, who you hear is what you get. And I'm not going to stop talking about God just because it makes you uncomfortable, right? I'm not going to stop talking about God. The way that I talk about God may change depending on if I'm at work or if I'm in public or I'm doing a one-on-one, right? That may change. So, I mean, I have common sense, but in general, I'm still going to be about who I am. And that is about what God is about, right? I don't have any need to twist the story, change the story, lie about anything. I have a lot of, difficulty financially. I struggle, right? And most of it is because I'm trying to feed a bunch of mouths on one income, right? Not just the children, but my whole family. I'm trying to feed my whole household on one income. So there's some bills that I don't get to take care of in this every month. I have to make an arrangement to take care of them. And then I stick to my word on that, right? So it's not like I don't have complications and difficulties in my life, but at the end of the day, I am proud of the person that I have become after 28 years and some months, right? Do I think that I could do better financially? Absolutely. I absolutely think that I could do better. But I was told if you pursue your passion, you will not have to worry about the finances. Pursue your passion and the finances will come. Pursue the thing that you feel like you can do day and night with your eyes closed because you love it and you don't need a check behind it, and the finances will come. Those things that I enjoy are talking about God and helping other individuals see who they are in God. I love the lifestyle of recovery, and I will always be about my recovery. I'm extremely passionate about seeing other people become their best version. I'm extremely excited about seeing people restore their faith in their higher power, God. Because there were many things that I underwent as a young person that was not the will of God for my life. Many things I was a victim, but I'm a grown woman today, and I'm no longer a victim, and I don't live in a victimhood mentality. I don't live in an orphanhood mentality, right? I don't. And if you have something that you're trying to get past, some character defect that you're trying to get past, you need to ask yourself, why are you still holding on to it? Because we could humbly ask God to remove it from us, but you will never even notice that it's being removed because you're so busy clenching on to it. The two cannot exist. in the same space. Fear and faith cannot exist in the same space. Yeah, part faith, partial faith can exist with fear. But true faith is the exact polar opposite of fear, and they cannot exist in the same space. Just like the truth and the lie cannot be in the same space. You can have a person that is lying to you by omitting pieces of the truth, but at that point where they begin to lie to you, then everything else after that is based on a lie, whether it's half a lie or a whole lie, and there's no truth in it. There's some truth in it, but the real truth cannot even come about because we started out at a different point, right? When you start out and your foundation has some holes in it, then you run the risk of that house that you're building, that goal that you're building, being broken down from the inside out, not to mention the outside in, but from the inside out, because your foundation has holes in it. It has been built or laid down on unsteady ground of dishonesty. I shiver at the thought of all of those days before my recovery, in well into 10 years of my recovery. I shiver to even think or speak about any of that chaos. I don't look back on them days with any kind of pride. If I tell the stories of those days, I'm telling them from a point of view that I want a person to understand how you could think you're spiritual and be full of darkness. You manipulating and lying and being a con artist. Those days, the first 10 years of my recovery and prior, before I even got into the program, I shiver to even think about them. And when I talk about them, it's for one purpose only, and that is for God to be able to show just how good he is through it, how he took me out of my mess and brought me through. And now my foundation has had an opportunity to be rebuilt, but it didn't come just, covering over stuff. No, I went all the way back to ground zero. MightyStream had people telling her mother that I would never know who I was again, because I was not willing to give up my character defects. And that was clean. So I know all about being a dressed up garbage can. And being a dressed up garbage can sometimes is not as intentional as people think. But sometimes people just get tired of taking the trash out. They get tired of getting their hands dirty. They get tired of taking the trash out. And when that happens, then now you're not being diligent. You're not doing your due diligence. And so some of that stuff you let go. The way that you talk, the way that you walk, some of those things that you decide not to focus on, now they become smelly. And people can smell you coming a mile away because you have not taken the trash out in a long time. Right? I don't want that to be your story. So today I want to encourage you to become entirely ready. Figure that out. You got to figure that out, because as you move forward, everything else that you go to do after you've done your fourth step and your fifth step, everything else is about all of it, actually. But this is definitely about making sure that you're not holding on to pieces of your personality because you don't have faith in God, because you're fearful, thinking that if I let this go, who or what will I become? So have some faith today, look at those character defects and become entirely ready. I'm encouraged. I still need to get the kids up. So I'm going to need to let you go. And I hope that you have a beautiful day. I will